I want to touch on things. We're not here to do a really review of either product. We're not here to talk about reviewing Top Gun or Stranger Things, but I really wanted to start with that, and then we'll probably get to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard verdict, and then we'll also maybe try to touch on some of the Obi-Wan Disney stuff, kind of from the same perspective but in reverse. But first up, Top Gun blows up the box office. I mean, it was crazy. Ironcaster, last night you were talking about trying to get in to see this place, and you were like, there are no cinemas, there are no seats, and you haven't seen that in a minute. And I said, I only saw it for really a couple of screens for Spider-Man when Spider-Man first dropped, No Way Home. But it was really only a couple screens. There were so many screens. But with Top Gun, man, this place was just maxed out. So that kind of thing. So, Mags, you've seen, obviously, the positive reviews are everywhere and that kind of thing. You've seen Tom Cruise. Maybe he tweeted about, thank you to everyone, that kind of thing. So my big message tonight, and I'll start with you, Mags, is does everybody get that? Oh, we lost somebody. I'll pop a back.
Oh, Troy. Troy.
It was Troy. He'll be back. I'm sure it's probably something to do with this camera.
It's fine.
What was your question again? I'm sorry.
Does this wake anybody up? I mean, some of these people seem like there's such a rabbit hole of like I said, I don't want to get down the rabbit hole of fan hatred here of the one company. He's basically calling us names every day. But it's like, does this wake other executives up? Does somebody go, listen, we need to do like they do?
I think so. I mean, because look what happened over Memorial Day weekend. It destroyed the record. And it's just, maybe adjusted with inflation. I'm not sure the true actual number type of situation versus other top box office successes over Memorial Day weekends in the past. But at the same time, this should be a huge signal of saying, hey, we respect our story. We love our story. We know we have people out there that love this story. Why can't we merge that between the creators and the fans? I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but this should be a huge wake-up call to, the big movie studios, regardless of anybody's feelings about anything in life in terms of opinions on, the spectrum of life, so to speak, without going into too much detail. But, Tom Cruise respected the fans. He did the job. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, it's just amazing. Anyway, sorry.
Go ahead.
I also think that in a way, this is something that the fans needed. Because,
yes.
For a lot of people, they've been pretty black-pilled on Hollywood lately. Like, fans, general audiences needed a genuine win. And I feel like this was absolutely it. This is getting back to that basics. It was the first, what really feels like patriotic movie in so long. I mean, the last one was what? American Sniper?
Yeah.
This was even bigger than that, because there was, so I only have a few people that I'll remotely still interact with that are in the actual critic circle. Talk about a snobby group, and gosh, that'll derail the whole conversation if we start going down that road. But they said two things, and I was so shocked. They said this. They said, one, it was fun, and they said it was patriotic. They did not say that about American Sniper. They refused to. A lot of people were, even those kind of people were kind of put off on the pro-military, pro-gun elements of that film. That's how they saw it anyway. And this was one where everybody was in from the get-go. Ryan, are you surprised that even the critics appear to like this film?
Well, I think we're getting to the tail end of woke entertainment being popular.
Hallelujah.
Top Gun, by normal standards of filmmaking, was a good film. But in the age of woke entertainment, I'd consider it to be a great film. Now, I haven't watched it. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. But from what I've seen, it's a good 7 out of 10 film. Same for Stranger Things as a television series. It's a good 7 out of 10 series. But in our modern age, these good shows are considered great by our standards because of all the nonsense we have to deal with and put up with Mr. Mouse and the like.
Yeah, very true. And let's just say hail to Christian Fandom popping in. Thank you, brother. Always great to see your support. And Low Spec saying seeding to 0, south, northwest, and Obi-Wan. Nobody wants it, even on the high seas. Laugh out loud. Yeah. So
I have it.
That. Yeah. Just smashing the like button. Thank you, bro. Thank you so much for all of that. And Troy, I think when we talked about even trying to fit in, you and I are on the same path. We both had plans to see this movie. The plans fall through. I don't know about you, man. The longer I'm waiting, the more excited I'm getting. And not because I want to expect it to be great. I just want to have fun. I'm more excited about having fun in a theater. That's what I'm most excited about.
Part of me wanted to vote with my dollar and support it on its opening weekend. But since that didn't happen, I'm okay with going the second week and voting with my dollar and giving this thing legs, because I think it's not enough for it to just do great in its first week. I want it to have the staying power too. You know, I kind of feel like there's something to be said for the timing, and I don't think I've heard anyone else that's commenting on this. There have been a lot of YouTubers commenting about how great it is. Critical Drinker, all these others are saying great things about it. But I think one thing that's overlooked is the timing. It's been put off and put off and put off, which, that could be an area of consternation for fans, but it paid off. I think they waited as long as they needed to, and they let it go when they had to. And on that timing, this comes after things like Spider-Man No Way Home. China says, "Hey, can you drop the Statue of Liberty?" And they're like, "No, you don't want it? To heck with you. We're going." And they'll take a hit because it fits their thing. And I think that reinforced the decision that Maverick had to say, "Yeah, you know what? We're putting the Taiwan patch back on the jacket.
Yep.
To heck with you. We are catering to our audience. If you want it, great. If you don't, your problem, not ours."
Low Spec is keeping my boomerism in. Yes, SNW stood for Strange New Worlds. I apologize, man. You got to keep up with me. First off, I don't watch any Trek. The only few minutes of modern Trek I have seen is only because of Loki, and he knows it's only because I wanted to see Picard get hit by a car.
Strange New Worlds isn't Trek. It's not.
Top Gun Maverick is a movie worth seeing multiple times. Thank you, Pacific. I appreciate the constant recommendations, and that's kind of how I'll roll with movies that I won't give money to. If it's something I don't get a screening to, I will just wander into a different theater, just so we're clear. And Chris agrees with you, Troy. Hey, here. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Let's see. Adega. Oh, Adega, thanks, bro, for popping in. Oh, can't wait to get his books.
Adega's good people. You should subscribe to his channel.
Also, he's just dropping a new book, so definitely support independent creators out there. Like,
if you guys, Chris, if you can get that link or whatever, shoot it up over there. We'll throw it up in there because I got 2 copies coming. I'm going to review, and hopefully he'll fit me into his busy schedule so we can kind of break down the book. So, Brandon, let me ask you a question because it seems like what Troy was saying, I think is the kind of a consensus. We saw a little bit with the pressure on Spider-Man. We know there was some pressure with Top Gun, and obviously the pressure with Top Gun was get in the theaters, theaters are closed, put it on streaming, all these horrible business decisions along the way. We're supposed to pity these companies. To me, they were always horrible decisions. Do you think that some of the companies are kind of parsing themselves out as far as the fan friendliness scale? Because that's what it kind of looks like to me. Like some companies seems like they're a little quicker on the adaptation, where others are just still stuck in the old ways.
Yes, you can clearly see that with Paramount. They had this movie in the can for over 2 years. It's been delayed. When Tencent, who is a Chinese company, which means it's going to be tied to the Chinese government, when they backed out of the funding, then they said, okay, screw it, we're going to put the bomber jacket back the way it should be and have both the Japanese and the Taiwanese flag. So that's good. As far as which studios are doing better than others, Paramount's moving that way in some directions and not quite so in other directions. A Strange New Worlds and everything New Trek, which is absolute trash. Out of all of them, Disney is the worst. They will take the longest to realize this, and by the time that they do, they could be in such financial straits that they could be bought out. But yes, I am seeing a trend towards less woke stuff, or at the very least, not bashing the fans before your stuff even comes out. So here's how I rate movies and go into movies. I'll only go see certain ones. I did see Spider-Man 3 times in the theater, and I typically don't even go twice. If I go once, you're lucky. Twice is a miracle. 3 times is unheard of. I have seen Top Gun Maverick, and as much as I loved it, as much as I loved The Northman, Death on the Nile, and then Spider-Man, the most fun I had with the movie itself was Maverick, by far.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Sort of like credit to the thirst we have for wanting to have fun. I think is part of it. You know what I mean? Like I think that's such a big part of it. So Netter's here. Hey, lady, how you doing?
What makes it better is, at least in the theater that I saw it at, we have our local AMC has the big D, so in a little larger format, not IMAX size, but fairly close. The first thing after they were done with all the 30 plus minutes of previews, which most of them were trashy,
right?
Tom Cruise comes up and says, "Thank you for coming to see this." That is huge, and I could see it in his eyes and in his facial expressions and in his mannerisms that he is absolutely proud of this work. He's not afraid of the work, and he loved doing it. And if you get to see any of the behind the scenes stuff, that some of the little things they put out there, if they ever put out a longer form of it, the amount of work that these actors had to go through to do this is astounding. So normally I'm not too big on actors and the way that they behave. Every single one of these people that were in this movie behaved professionally, and I can't think of any one of them spouting off or popping off about something. And it's also a credit to Paramount and to who's the actual production company that Tom Cruise teamed up with? Skydance. It's a credit to them keeping these people in line, not letting them spout off, and not allowing anything that could damage your brand coming out, whether they be right in their assessments or just in their assessments, doesn't matter. When you're in the movie business, you need to get butts in the seat. Best way to get butts in the seat is to not insult them or to say anything stupid.
And to behave like an actual movie star that wants to make money for the company that he's working for, right? So,
and that's where Tom Cruise excels. That's what he's good at. I can't think of any time other than his religious beliefs where he ever goes off topic. He just doesn't do that. He's a professional in that respect, and I respect that of him.
Yeah,
and he doesn't attack the fans either. So
right.
No, I was going to say Ironcaster. I don't know if you saw the tweet that he did. Thanking fans on Twitter as well, or did Tom Cruise? He just said, "Thank you for making Top Gun the biggest movie of the weekend and breaking records." And it was a personalized tweet. Is he sort of like, I don't want to say the last bastion of like this big Hollywoodism, because I'm not sure that. Because I think there's a whole bunch of the next categories that just can't get over the hump, right? Because you have Henry Cavill's and you have even Hiddleston and Benedict Cumberbatch, and they're A-list stars in that they're headlining movie. Hemsworth, but
none of them
there's
quite
something
get to that S tier.
Yeah, just something like there's something special about what Cruise from that. It's like it's the last of his generation that still is fighting to be the big giant movie star kind of thing.
Well, also, I think in part it comes down to that exclusivity, because Tom Cruise just generally isn't out there. He's something of a rare commodity. It allows him to have this really curated appearance. So the last time we really heard about him in the news was when that behind the scenes recording of him let loose, when he's just like talking about the importance of protecting the craft and getting with the COVID restrictions.
Yep. Dragon Rouge is joining us. Hey, bringing up Disney hopes Disney gets bought or goes bankrupt or sells off those IPs. I will say the first two are not going to happen anytime soon. However, I would not be shocked if this continues on the road it's going. 3 to 5 years from now, you would see more licensing deals and more partnerships, like kind of like what we see with Sony. You see, like they can do Spider-Man, take a bigger financial risk. We'll just take our cut, because you got to remember, their cut of the Spider-Man movie was so big that it was more than the box office was of, I think, 4 of the 5 movies that they had done the last 2 years. So that's a numbers game. Like, and these people are all about numbers, and they want to be woke and they want to play their game. But at the end of the day, it's all fun and games till someone's knocking on your door to say, "Today's your last day. Grab your stuff." And if you don't believe me, ask the people over at Discovery, because that's what's happening over there.
Well, Troy, the first time that a studio or a big property would have been sold off from Disney, because at one point Disney used to own Power Rangers, and eventually they sold it back at less than the cost of buying it for.
Thank God.
Troy,
at least it's no longer in Disney's hands. That's what I'm explaining for.
Yes.
Troy,
true.
you had some thoughts on the Cruise movie star scale factor there before.
Right.
We move
I
on
did
from,
want to point
Cruise.
out one huge difference with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is also a producer. He is Skydance, right? So
Yes.
he is not only an incredible actor, but his professionalism comes from it's his money on the line. And I think Ironcaster kind of got at this a bit when he was talking about the whole COVID thing, right? You listen to that little rant he had, and it was about, look, people's livelihoods are on the line, people's money are on the line. He meant himself, but he also meant everyone working for him, and that's a good leader of a business, right? So you kind of got to respect that about him too. So I kind of look at this whole thing and I'm like, he's got no time for the woke. He's all about the business. Mm-hmm. The more companies that do that, the more success they're going to see. In fact, we're seeing the when we bring up Disney, the whole get woke, go broke thing, it plays out in real time. You see it very clearly. Mm-hmm. Who else is doing really good? Sony is not going after the woke. They're going after the bucks, right?
Yeah.
So
that's true. Very true. So, Chris says that. Okay, so first off, let me just pause here and say there is a massive storm that just rolled in Florida, by the way, which was not supposed to happen until much later. So it shows it does show how much I should. I always say if I'd gone into any other field when I was going into college, which someone would have said, you can be a meteorologist because no one cares if you're ever right. You can keep your six-figure job, just so you know. So I wish I had done such a thing since I was reasonably good at science and math. But Cruise is the last of the 80s old guard defending the frontiers of entertainment. And I really couldn't agree more with that. I think that Cruise has already got, FU money, for lack of a better phrase, even though that's kind of crass coming from me.
Well, up until a couple of years ago,
and he also had
Will Smith.
Well, what? Yeah, true. But I also want to say with the difference between Cruise and Will Smith will I think cement my point is Cruise has also gone through the scandals. He's gone through being on the cover of all the tabloids and the divorces and all of the the Scientology attacks and all. He's gone through. He didn't care. Dude just wants to make money. I mean, he's told these companies, "I'm not doing this Mission Impossible movie unless I can do this stunt." I'm going to scale on the side of that building. I'm going to learn to fly a helicopter. I'm going to learn to hold my breath for 4 minutes. At some point, you're just like, dude is just treating this as like the ultimate adventure job. And I think it's just, there's something to be said for that. I think, and that's what's bleeding over in this film and probably other works that he does. We'll go back around one more time just for last thoughts. Mags, last thoughts on the Maverick and Cruise and the impact of all this?
I just, to kind of piggyback off of what you just said, I think you're right that he's part of the last old guard of like this kind of like this slide in from the 70s to the 80s type action star to the 90s earlier action stars, and just that group of era of Hollywood actors and even actresses back then were still, high tier class type people. And
true.
Now we're seeing that fade, and I'm so glad to see Tom Cruise back into what he's doing best and what he loves, and you can see that reflection of his love, of his passion back into his creation. So that's something that we don't see every day right now with other projects that are out there currently. So
right